Got Ryan Petersen here, Flexport founder, logistics guru, titan of international trade. Your job must be really boring these days.
Yeah.
I mean, so...
Ship cardboard boxes.
But I mean, there's so much more to it than that, right? Like, you've got geopolitics, tariffs, everything's coming down on you right now. It's changing by the day, by the minute. Backstage, you were telling me, you know, 1 minute you're preparing for 100% tariffs, another minute you're preparing for none. Like, how do you manage all this? Walk us through it.
Try to be ready for anything. What's the Eisenhower quote? Plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. So we spend a lot of time contingency planning, thinking about what might happen. Try to build good information sources all over the world. We're fine with rumors. We want to know everything from everybody. And then we use Slack pretty extensively, like most companies, and we do a lot of kind of like build these war rooms of like get the right people in the Slack huddle.
Right.
Who needs to know about what, get information flowing freely, and then where appropriate, we're pretty decisive, but we're also comfortable not making decisions. Sometimes that's the best decision you can make. And then once we make a decision, try to be really, really action-oriented on it. It's the best you can do, I guess. It's just like, and then get a feedback loop going with the world.
Now, the information thing, sometimes you take that, I don't want to say to the extreme, but you go out there and do the recon yourself, right? You've been to the Long Beach Harbor, you've been to the Panama Canal, like...
The White House?
Yeah, like what's driving you behind this?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, that's fun. But yeah, you got to go in person and see it. Most of all with my own team, kind of seeing who's doing the work and talk to them directly. But this administration has been very interesting, to say the least, for customs. But they're so as difficult as it's been for our company and our customers, especially to deal with the tariffs. Like, actually, the administration's pretty open door. Like, they're willing to talk to us and listen to us, and they don't want to destroy businesses. So they've been very open to feedback and like talking through issues. I mean, I'm not going to convince them that tariffs are bad, but there are a lot of other policies where they're like really open to input from business and like hearing what it means for companies and stuff like that. So yeah, time in Washington's been pretty well spent for me on trying to spend. If the government would reopen, I would be back there more often.
Yeah. I mean, so uncertainty is obviously one of the undercurrents here that we're talking about today, and it's good for some businesses, right? I think Flexport, you've done a good job kind of turning that uncertainty into an advantage.
We feel that way, yeah. I mean, our customs business has doubled since April. And I don't mean the duties that people pay. That's like way higher than that, like our actual revenue from doing customs brokerage and advisory for companies. And like, we didn't have that in the forecast. And it's because it's gotten so much more difficult for companies to deal with customs. And customs all about data, and therefore databases. It's all about expertise on what you do with that data. And we're really well positioned to put those together. Other parts of our business have struggled because of the, volumes are down in ocean freight, not for Flexport, but for the market. So it's hard to grow the ocean freight part, but we've had real competitive advantage on customs where we've been taking major accounts and like being a place where tech can win. I think in general, like the last decade has been all about uncertainty for Flexport, so we're pretty used to this.
Right.
You go back 10 years ago, even more, just had incident after incident every year. There's been something that has we've never made it to March without having to change our annual plan. So we basically do, our annual plans are just an idea, and we come back and revisit them constantly to be ready for whatever.
I mean, you're doing that now, and you fully expect to revise it in the first quarter of next year.
We've moved to just every quarter we'll figure this out again. What is a plan anyways? It's like, basically, it's at our scale, it's where do you allocate headcount?
Right.
Who gets what number of engineers, and try to be way more adaptable, and at the same time play the long game. Like, we've got to see things through regardless of what happens. But yeah, we've learned to operate. I mean, we don't deal with any level of uncertainty close to like what someone in the military has to do. Right. It's not like that. I think but you can learn lessons from that group, from that field, without taking yourself too seriously, right? No one's going to die, but there's a lot of prior art of how do you deal with uncertainty, how do you succeed, regardless of what the world throws at you. And then in the military idea is like, if you're better at dealing with chaos than your competitors are, then you not only welcome chaos, but you're the one you want to kind of create that chaos in the world, and you thrive on it. I don't know if we're there yet, but I do think we can outcompete others.
Yeah. So is there a line at which the chaos gets to be too much, either for you or for other businesses?
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible for our customers. So we're not celebrating it by any means. Like, I have one customer, he owned 100% of his business that he built to about $50 million in sales. It's an apparel company, paying, during that 5-week period when duties on China went to 145%, he was paying $600,000 a week in duties for 5 weeks, which was so much that he had to actually he sold 30% of his business to VCs forever, right? Now he owns it forever. He built this thing over, I don't know how many years he's been building it, probably like 8 or 9 years. And, now he only owns 70% of the business because of that 5-week period.
Yeah.
So he still loves Trump, by the way, so some people are just interesting.
I mean, as we're seeing here, right, like with this company, other companies, this uncertainty isn't evenly distributed. Do you think, like, how is everyone experiencing it now? And how is Silicon Valley feeling about it?
About what?
Uncertainty, just like generally. It kind of feels like the thing we're all thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in customs world, it's kind of funny with the prediction markets now because you can kind of quantify the uncertainty in ways. So right now, for example, the big uncertainty, probably the biggest, of course, there's always what trade deals are getting negotiated over the weekend. Bessent said that the 100% duty is probably off the table on China, that was supposed to go live on November 1st. Is that this week, next week, something? In 4 days, this week. So that, he said over the weekend, that's probably off the table. So probably is this quite a statement. I didn't check the poly market on that since the weekend. I bet it went way down. It was already at like 15% likelihood. So you can quantify it. The next big uncertainty is the Supreme Court is going to rule on duties, on whether the administration has the authority to enact these duties, and whether they all get not just thrown out, but refunded.
Right.
That, I'm not really sure. I think that those arguments are taking place as we speak, and we'll find out in the next month or two when that one is trading at a 57% something chance of refund as of last week. Should have checked it before I came out here. So yeah, it's kind of interesting world. Is that poly market, Kalshi, make it possible?
I was going to say, it sounds like you are at least checking these often. Do you find it useful for your planning?
Well, in that case, it's quite interesting because not only is there a market where you could potentially head, it's pretty thinly traded, but there's a secondary market where you can sell your refund if the administration does lose your owed a refund. You can sell it today. It's going for 25 cents on the dollar.
So they're not totally confident there's going to be a refund necessarily.
A lot of people are not selling. They think it's likely to happen. 25 cents.
Sorry, yeah. Okay.
But you could sell it for 25 cents. I think you'd feel really dumb if it got refunded and you sold it already and you only got 25 cents on the dollar. Yeah. So
I guess if you're pressed for cash.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's a whole tariff world of uncertainty. How to deal with consumer demand, and I don't know. That's above my head. I don't know what's happening with the broader economy.
Yeah. I mean, tariffs obviously are injecting uncertainty. AI is another. Like, what else should we be looking out for besides those two?
AI in the bubble, is it a bubble or not? And what happens to CapEx and I guess the government shutdown, we'll see. Like, what did it say? Like some huge percentage, 42 million Americans are on SNAP and they're going to lose their food stamps in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, I mean, we've had a lot of civilizations have burned to the ground when people can't get food. Right. So I don't know. You could probably make a long list of potential uncertainties if you just want to go there. It's not, I don't know how fruitful it is.
I was going to say, what's top of mind for you? Obviously, there's tariffs. What else?
Tariffs, it's for us, it's how do you just see it through? Like, we've got global expansion is really big for us. So Flexport is the third largest freight forwarder in the United States. We're the only one in the top 100 globally that was founded after the web browser was invented in '94.
Kind of wild.
So we have, I thought I was getting a round of applause in some other room. So we feel like on the tech side and our ability to implement AI, like we have a big lead there. We're going to extend the lead. We're going to for sure win on tech, but tech alone isn't enough. And
Right.
we've always known this in our industry. You got to be able to move the freight in the physical world. You got to be able to interact with that world, which is very obviously global. We have employees in 22 countries, but our competitors have, the ones who've been around a lot longer than us, have employees in all the countries, 180, 200 countries, depending on how you count. So that gives us a big disadvantage there.
Right.
And we got to go put people out here in these countries, get the right people that we trust to go run a country, build up a team, operate, execute. That's a hard problem. It's a fun problem.
Right.
It's a simple problem, but it's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's infinitely easier than trying to become a tech company if you're like a legacy, large incumbent that we compete with. So we like our odds, but that's really hard on me as CEO. So I got to go. I'll probably go to, I went to 19 countries in 2024. This year I haven't counted. I'm probably at like 9 or 10. Next year I got to go back to like 20-ish, 15 to 20 countries to go, build these teams out, make sure that we have the right people, meet with customers in those countries, like set up the operations, vendor management.
Very hands-on for a company of your size.
It's hard to do, and I don't like fly private and stuff.
Right.
I'm like grinding. So that's on my mind. How do you scale that while I have young children at home?
Yeah.
And a wife that I'm trying to keep happy. So it's a hard job.
Yeah.
Not complaining. It's fun.
Right. Now, I was combing through your X feed while preparing for this, and you tweet a lot, so that was a lot to go through. And there's a lot that we could talk about, but I'm going to try to stick to the agenda here. And one of the things you said that stood out to me was that you want to make logistics as simple as flipping a switch. Are we there yet?
Oh, no, not even close. I mean, like the light switch analogy I like because sort of the first, if you went back 100-something years ago to the invention of electricity, before that, each company had to run their own power plant.
Right.
And generate power. You had like little coal-fired power plants inside of every factory. And the invention of the electrical grid was a huge deal because you could like take that whole complexity away and just focus on making things and selling things. And you had a similar transition with the cloud. Like when I got into tech, we had to run our own servers as a startup. That was a big part of your budget 25 years ago. And then you got the cloud and like all that complexity went away and we just use AWS and life is mostly great. Logistics has not gone through that yet. So companies are still have big logistics departments pushing paper, managing a lot of complexity. It's freight forwarding our industry, but I often say it should be called freight email forwarding. It's a lot of people pushing paperwork around on it, file attachments and stuff. So yeah, we want to sort of like be a big part of bringing that to the cloud, making that simple and easy, and you don't need, it's not like your highest value place to invest and people tend not to, these teams are always understaffed, they're not like attracting the best talent, they don't, when the companies are hiring their stars, they usually put them into making awesome products and selling them, and the moving of things is kind of an afterthought, and yet it's really important. So we want to really help those teams, give them tools, give them superpowers, make that simple, and allow the companies to invest in what matters, which is make stuff that people want and talk to users, if you listen to Y Combinator's motto.
Yeah. Now, I think in the context of that light switch flipping analogy, you were also talking about AI that you've been rolling out at Flexport. So what does that look like? Where does AI fit into your business?
So I think we're probably not I think you could probably find a whole class, if we have investors out here, a whole class of businesses that fit this description of where I think Flexport is on this, is we're large enough to have really unique data assets, right, as one of the largest freight companies in the world. And we have distribution. We have thousands of companies that use us to do logistics. So you have distribution, you have data to train models, you have expertise to understand like how does this fit in, what are the problems that exist, where should we go solve it. We're end to end in a way, meaning like from all the way from the factory to end consumer, we're everywhere in that whole chain of the goods life cycle, so we can look and find a problem anywhere in that chain. And it doesn't have to be a problem that's big enough to start a whole AI company around, but it could just be like, oh, okay, we can automate this little process or digitize this document, whatever it might be. And then when you build it, you go live the next day with thousands of companies.
Right.
So we have all of that while also, by the way, those things are true of any large company, basically. All those are big advantages for the incumbents in applying AI. On the flip side, we're also the only young company in our industry, young as a company. We're not all young people, but we're young. We have talent, we have the tech, we build our own tech, we have a tech stack where you can actually implement and integrate AI and make it go live. So that's where our competitors don't. So the startups that might be better than us at building AI, and I think there's a lot of those in the world, but they don't have our advantages of being at scale, of distribution and data, and all the expertise that we have. So we're right at that. I think we have a real advantage over the startups and over the incumbents. So we really like that position. What it looks like specifically, most interesting thing we've done with AI is probably from a reporting, like one of the things we really care about in logistics is data. You're trying to figure out where's my stuff, but also how much stuff do I need, where do I need it, when do I need it there. So a lot of planning, a lot of insights, how much have I spent. Customs, of course, is all about data, tariffs, and what are you paying, and what's my transit times. So we've built this just natural language processing. You just like ask questions and generate graphs and charts and all the things you'd like a data scientist or analyst to do. You just now get that for free inside our app. And we've built that, and again, we build it, we go live, the next day we have thousands of users for it.
Right.
Where I think if a startup that was trying to build this would have to go beg people for their data, beg people for an enterprise, data contract license, sell it, be a hard sale. And you'd just be yet another, we use OpenAI to build this, right? So you'd be yet another wrapper on OpenAI without proprietary scale. Another one we're going to go live with soon is language. English is the language of global trade for the last couple of centuries.
Yeah.
That's going to change. Now you just speak whatever language you want, and your factory will understand it in their language. Real-time translation is here. That works. So we'll go live with that soon. Obviously, all the planning stuff. Mm-hmm. Planning in our situation in this context is logistics planning. So this container, which ship should it go on? Which contract? Based on expected transit time, cost, variability on those things.
And is that something that is that a tool for your team internally, or is that something that customers see as well?
Today it's for our team. We're aiming to productize it so that you can do this on your freight, even if you don't ship it with Flexport. We'll see. The goal is to launch that in February. I don't know if no promises, but definitely by next year, it'll work for customer freight at some point next year. But today it's on our own plan. So you book a container with us, we're allocating it, which contract should it go on, which specific ship should we put it on. When we did that model saved us 2% of our costs, so about $20 million of our ocean freight spend.
Which in the logistics world is not insignificant.
$20 million is not significant.
I mean,
no matter what
2%
world.
though, too.
Yeah, 2% is a big deal. We're talking about an industry where the leaders have about between 5 and 9% EBITDA margin, so 2%. It's big.
Yeah.
And that's just one model that is not perfect by any means. We can make it better. Similarly, planning systems for so inside the container, like how do you take pallets across multiple factories and load them and play Tetris? On average, containers, if you look across the world's containers, they're only the ones that are inbound, about 70% full. Outbound, everybody knows we have a trade imbalance, so I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the ones that actually have cargo in them, only about 70, there's 30% air. So AI is really good at this, and it can do what humans can never do, which is look outside the four walls of a building. Like humans are pretty good at filling a container. You give them a bunch of stuff, but it can look across a whole region and say, okay, let's bring that shipment will be here tomorrow. Let's make sure let's hold the stuff up or not. You can set parameters on these things and configure it. But or for example, that pallet is supposed to go to Hong Kong, but why don't I truck it to Shanghai because it perfectly matches this other shipment that I already have and load them together. I mentioned containers because that's simple and easy to visualize, but actually air freight has a bigger opportunity here. Air freight you've got to optimize an airplane, so you've got like the curvature of the plane to factor, but you also have, every airplane is unique in terms of weight and density, volume and weight. So the simple way to think about this is that you could put 600,000 iPhones in a 747 cargo 747, but it won't be able to take off. It'll weigh too much.
Right.
You can only put 200,000 iPhones by volume, and now you'll have a 2/3 empty plane.
Right.
So you want to mix iPhones with teddy bears, and so this is the kind of planning that machines or algorithms are much, much better at than people.
It seems like your company's in kind of an unusual place there, right? Where you're young enough to be adopting these tools quickly, but you're old enough to have that data.
Yeah,
that you suggest.
that's like turning out to, we're just like, we feel really blessed and really well positioned. Another really cool use of AI is just like for customs compliance. So we basically built this, you can think of it like spell check.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fat finger mistakes that can happen in customs. For example, the most annoying one is that Europeans, for some reason, use the comma instead of the period. Any Europeans, I don't know why you do this.
Decimal places, right?
Or maybe they think we're crazy. But either way, Customs and Border Protection does not appreciate that difference, and you will be off by 2 orders of magnitude if you file with the wrong punctuation on that case. So simple tools like this that are kind of looking over you, they like, what is Grammarly or something? So like watch for those mistakes. Or the 2-digit code for Taiwan is TW, but for Tuvalu is TV.
Yeah.
Very different countries, different free trade agreements. So these types of things you want to, AI can just do a great job of avoiding very costly mistakes.
Yeah. Now, I want to take a step back a little bit. I know we tend to have a lot of founders in the audience here. A few years ago, you famously stepped down as CEO, and I don't want to relitigate the whole thing, but I think one of the things...
We only have 6 minutes.
I know, that's true, yeah. One of the things I think they might want to know is, like, what was it like returning, and what was the hardest decision you've had to make since returning?
So I hired a CEO for Flexport. I became the chairman of the board for about 6 months. And during the 6 months, a lot of things, a lot of mistakes that we made in the years leading up to that, but a lot of stuff came to a head. We overhired, especially on the engineering team and senior leadership team.
It's common in that, I think.
Everybody else was like cutting costs, and we're like, oh, we're going to be contrarian and go mop up all the talent. And like, it seemed like, I wish that was the world we could live in. It was amazing. But we increased our cost base too much. We let our quality suffer. And so I really kind of came back to a turnaround situation. We felt like our backs were against the wall, but we also had over $1 billion in cash. So it's very few companies and certainly very few startups in history that were like, our back's against the wall, we're gonna die if we don't make dramatic changes, but also we have $1 billion.
You had the resources to make it happen, is what you're saying.
Kind of an epic position. If I wish I would have had a little more time, because my adrenaline was pumping. It was a tough period. I worked 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 4 months in a row without standing up. So I ended up with back pain. I have reading glasses now for the rest of my life, probably. I also turned 43, so I might have just gotten old. I don't know if I can blame that, but so we had to really set a clear chart of path forward. First thing, which was simple, I wouldn't call it easy, but simple, was we had to really cut our costs and really reduce the size of our team. So we went lean. We're now 2,000 people. At peak, we were 3,400. Wow. So we had to do that without hurting our customer experience because we were having quality issues. So we didn't touch anyone who was serving customers. It was all like fixed costs, overhead, and tech. By the way, when you cut those people, the customers don't know. It's fine, right? Doesn't seem fine at the time, but it was fine. In fact, we dramatically improved our velocity in almost every way. More importantly than the cost cuts, we had to get our quality back for customers. So one of the ways that Flexport works is we built this, we have this workflow engine that takes the complex art of taking a shipment from door to door and turns it into a science. We break it into atomic tasks. So like to ship an ocean container from door to door, there's 108 tasks that have to be completed.
Wow.
Today, about 42% of those are done by software. The rest are done by people. We had taken, during this period when I was not the CEO, we had decided to go and make each person at Flexport do one task over and over again. instead of assigning them to a shipment or a customer, they would just do the same task all day like a robot. And it led to massive amounts. We'd end up having 50 different people working on a shipment, and nobody, when something went wrong, everybody's pointing fingers. Nobody's taking ownership to solve the problem and call the customer and fix it. So we went back to the way we were always organized. We still use the workflow engine, but now it's 2 operators, one at origin, one at destination, and then one to do the customs clearance. So 3 in an ideal world that do all the work. Drove accountability. That took our NPS from, it got so bad we stopped measuring it, to back to the high 60s where we are today. So we're really improved our customer quality, improved our on-time performance, and improved our unit economics. So we went from basically making no money to quite profitable on a unit economics basis. And what's the last thing we did? I don't know. We're still working through like a lot of cultural challenges. Proud we did have improved that a lot too. But yeah, if you're a founder out there, just don't leave your company. It's so simple. It's
that easy, huh? No.
Nobody will care as much as you do.
Now, you said in March that you were on track to be profitable this year. Is that still true?
We were profitable, yeah. We'll be profitable in 2025 and forevermore. Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a bit of an asterisk to that this year, though, right, with the Convoy sale?
Yeah, so this year we sold a business that we bought a business in December of 23, which I had to overrule everybody at the company. But that's the cool thing about being the founder, because it was, I came back to the company in September of 23, so like 3 months in for me to say we're going to go buy this company was a little crazy. And we sold it for about 40 times what we bought it for.
Yeah, I was going to say that paid off handsomely.
So there's a bit of an asterisk there. We wouldn't be profitable without that this year, but next year we'll be profitable regardless.
Yeah. So you've also mentioned that you were planning on IPOing by the end of the year. Is that still a plan?
Oh, this year? No.
No?
I don't know when I said that.
Okay.
I wouldn't have said that.
Okay. Sorry.
Be cool, but no, we're not ready. It's very hard to forecast this business.
Right.
Our leading public market competitor in the United States hasn't issued earnings guidance in 30 or 40, 50 years. I forget when they went public. They just don't do guidance.
Too much.
It's a lot of volatility. It's a lot hard to predict the freight prices, the tariffs and volumes. Everything is hard to predict. So I think that's our challenge to go public. Beyond wanting just to be a profitable, is like steady compounder, which we have work to do there to put a few years of nice, profitable, steady growth. But making it more predictable is something we have to learn how to do.
Yeah. One quick question. Supply chains, they use software, they use tracking, there's even satellites tasked on things right now.
Yeah.
What's left to fix in logistics?
Oh, a million things. I think still a lot of humans. So I mentioned 42% of the work is done by software, and that's the work that we've structured. There's a lot of unstructured work still sitting there. A lot of work that feels like you can't structure it, where all of a sudden agents are going to make that possible. Being able to go out and take work that seemed like you just need a human to solve this, and actually AI can do it. So like a huge amount of cost reductions. We think we can probably reduce the price of shipping anything in the world by about 8% over the next few years.
Oh, wow.
Through automation. So that's a huge deal. Can probably dramatically improve reliability. Today, the port-to-port schedule reliability of a container ship is only about 35% on time. Which, fine, but you should be better at predicting this, right? And creating, so I think models for predictive transit time are just going to keep getting better and better. I mentioned already reporting, but lots to do there to just help people make better decisions with the data. Demand planning is like inherently difficult. So demand planning meaning like figuring out if you're a brand, how much of this color are you going to sell in this size? Like that's very difficult. Supply side planning, pretty deterministic. Like when you place the PO to your factory, how long before it's going to ship and get delivered, at least better than demand side. So we're close to being able to really plug that side in. And then a huge amount of the opportunity is in connecting systems. So taking you have your inventory sitting in one system, your accounting data, your logistics data, maybe your CRM or your e-com website. Like how do you connect all these systems together in ways that are really simple and easy for non-technical people? So yeah, lots of problems not worried about that. We got at least 10 years. And I didn't even mention financing the
Right.
inventory, paying for it. Stable coins will be interesting,
Yeah.
I predict, for international trade.
It's a Flexport for everything.
I hope so, yeah. I mean, I think we can be one of those companies that just keeps introducing new. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and yet, like, almost every startup idea I have would be better done inside of Flexport than as a standalone company.
Yeah.
Haven't mentioned warehouse robotics or port automation or a million things that you can do. So.
Excellent. Well, we're out of time. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, my
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you.